Hey, I'm Kimberly with Elixir Mentor. Jacob recently added recruitment services to help companies hire pre-vetted Elixir devs. I help with company outreach, so if you're hiring, I may be reaching out, or you can connect with us anytime at elixirmentor.com.
Secure your Elixir apps with Paraxial.io. From code analysis and bot defense to dependency checks, they've got you covered. Elixir first design with GitHub integration. Elevate your security at Paraxial.io. Testing. What's up? I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir Mentor, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Elixir Mentor podcast. This is where we discuss everything related to Elixir, from interviews with enthusiasts, pioneers in the community, to innovative projects and libraries shaping Elixir's future. José Valim is back, and we're going to be talking about Tidewave, the AI coding agent that lives in your web framework, and we'll probably talk about some Elixir and 1.19 stuff as well, too. Welcome back, José. It's good to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this this chat. We were talking a little bit before we went live, and I've actually been using Tidewave quite a bit with. I just have a project in beta right now called Kill Switch, and I've been using Tidewave for it, and it's been a joyful experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
Glad to hear. Yeah.
Let's start at the real basics for people that might not know. What exactly is an MCP, and why does it matter for AI coding tools?
Ooh, okay. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. I'm trying to let me just think a little bit. I'm trying to see
No worries.
the best way to phrase this. So, I actually it's a good question, because I actually think that MCPs, they are overrated, or maybe overused is the best word to talk about them. So, and maybe that's going to plug into why Tidewave Web exists. So this is going to be good. All right. So I'm going to tell my story and how I found MCP and how I first fell in love with MCP. And then we can talk about how I fell out of love with MCP, and that should cover the whole journey, right? So when we started having Copilot in VS Code, right? When we start having this very rough idea of coding agents running in our editor, right? I was like, oh, this is very exciting, right? I can now talk to AI about the code. Maybe it can help me understand the code base, right? I was not sure exactly what I was going to get, but I was curious about the possibilities. And it became very clear that what the AI knew and what the Elixir compiler, for example, knew, they were, there was a huge gap between those, right? So for example, it would try to write some code, and then it's like, oh, I am calling this function wrong. And then AI would try to guess how to call the function in 2 or 3 different ways. And then I'm like, come on, get the docs. There's documentation. Read the documentation. There's going to be examples there, right? So, and then sometimes I would have to go and copy and paste the docs. Here are the docs. Here's how we're supposed to use it, right? So, and there were a lot of things where the AI would make mistakes, the coding agent would make mistakes, and it could not fix itself. It could not find the way to get the proper information. And then I would talk to some folks actually working on those tools, and so this was almost 3 years ago, and they would tell me, nah, don't worry, the models, they're going to become smart enough, right? That's what everybody would say. Don't worry. I was I want to feed compiler information. There's runtime information that I can feed. I can feed docs. I can let it execute code. I can feed supervision trees. There's so much runtime information in our programs. They're nah, no, don't worry. The models, they're going to know everything. And which I don't think became true today. So what happened is that, and I think this was about almost a year ago, that the Anthropic and the Zed folks, they announced MCP, and MCP is a way we can basically bring our own tools to the coding agent. So now I can say, oh, I can now bring this compiler knowledge that I know we have in Elixir, bring it to the agent. So now the agent, if it wants to fetch documentation about something, if it needs to execute some code, if it needs to read the logs, I have the tools to extend the agent. And and then for me that was perfect, because now I no longer had to be like saying, hey, add compiler information, and then they'll be like, who are you? And then, but now I can just do it myself, right? I was like, okay,
No.
I can do it myself. I can build the tools and I can hook them in. And so that's what MCP generally is a way to hook external tools into your coding agents. And we have MCPs for everything. We have MCPs for GitHub, Figma, Sentry, basically for everything. And I think that's a good introduction. Let me just do a quality check on is the audio and the video good?
Yeah, I believe so. Like, you look good on my end, you sound good on my end, so I think we're good.
That I look good, I knew. I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, Tidewave, I yell at Claude a lot less. And
Right.
I would say like really big improvements to like my AI like workflow too, like usage rules has made a big improvement into just, using, dependencies and things as well. And like my favorite thing with Tidewave in the browser is you can just click on components, like be like, fix this. And I don't have to be a front end engineer anymore. And I kind of love it.
Yeah, for me, like when we started going, so Tidewave Web, I think there are like two things. I mean, there is one main thing that led to Tidewave Web, which is I want to reduce the amount of copy and pasting. That was like the when the insight came to me, because if you're using something like Claude Code, so if you have a coding agent, it can be GitHub Copilot or whatever, right? The usual, and I'm working on a web app, like the usual flow is you're going to be like, hey, build a feature for me. So describe the feature in the chat, right? And then the agent does the work, and it says it's done. And then you refresh the page, right? And then you get an exception, right? You see the error page. And then you're like, well, you're clearly not done. So I have to copy and paste the exception that I see in the browser, right? And now I have to paste it in the editor. So what I found myself is that like I had to be in the loop, and that's a discussion we can have, because I think I don't buy what a lot of people are saying, that the human is going to be like fully out of the loop and things like that. But the thing is that I was in the loop, right? But it was the boring loop. It was the loop where I'm copying and pasting information. Like I was saying, like I was copying and pasting the docs. I'm copying and pasting stack trace. Or for example, imagine that I want to build a new feature in the UI, right? So I open up the page in the browser, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I want to add like an export to CSV button in this drop down. So you figure out where you want to change in the UI. And now the next step is for you to go find the file where that thing is defined. So you find the file, maybe that thing comes from a component. So you have to find a component. So you're doing like all this busy work of navigating the source code so you can find the information to tell, like, this is like you're saying like, oh, AI is going to help you be more productive, but like all the boring parts of the work, they're not being automated, right? Like checking things in the browser, figuring out where this component goes to the file, and I'm like, that's the thing that I don't want to do. Like
you're the factory
I'm happy with,
You're the factory line worker that's just doing a mind-numbing task of manual things that can be easily automated.
Yeah, so I want to have those things fixed for me, so then I can focus on the important parts, how I'm going to break to break a big problem to a smaller one, so I can feed that to the AI, for example, right? Like I can focus on reviewing the code and make sure that there is not a loss in quality, right? I don't want to be bogged down by those minor things. So that's, when we start with Tidewave Web, I was like, look, I need a better way to communicate and pass my ideas, and I need to interact with the AI at a higher level, right? If I'm building a product, I need to interact it with at the level of the product. If it's a web application, then it's a web app. I need to have the conversations at that level, because otherwise, yes, the job is going to be that translation all the time, get stack trace, get locations, find components in files. And if it's going to be that, like, no, thank you, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and like, yeah, there was a time where, you were just using like Claude code or, some LLM that's just accessing files, right? And like you're saying, I actually started not enjoying like you almost forced yourself to still write a lot of code because it became less enjoyable when you're just copying and pasting docs, like, or yelling at it. I yell at Claude a lot, but I feel like through Tidewave, I yell a lot less because it understands like Elixir patterns and, the syntax and how the directory tree should be, organized and things. I feel like it does a lot better.
Yeah. And hopefully, and then we focus on the good things, right? On the parts that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like I've kind of been like trying to get a little more like technical founders on that are like building SaaS products, because I feel like it's a good perspective of like, especially like engineers that are more like entrepreneurial, like they kind of want to bust out of like a 9 to 5 and like own a product. And I'm kind of curious, is this kind of your first like SaaS experience, or is it the first SaaS experience that you've really enjoyed and pushed forward?
No, so this, in the history of everything, is probably our third SaaS for Dashbit.
Okay.
And the first one was called BytePack. And the idea that we had at the time was that you have projects like Oben, right, where they need to, it's a private package, right? You need to buy the package to use. So I still think there isn't today. I think some people experimented with that later, but nothing came out of it. But there is no way where you can say, there is no app store for packages, right? So OBAM, I think they run their own version of the Hex registry that you connect to. So there's a lot of work that you need to do. And we actually built this SaaS. And then, so we built the thing, we were ready to launch it. And then I think like the week before we launch, or the week after we launch, we decided to pull the plug on it. And the reason for that is because building it was very fun, right? It's like, well, we are building a product, we are fun, it's enjoying. We were like, we're gonna have to put it live. And at the moment we put it live, it's an operations product, right? It's a product where, like, if somebody cannot download their package, it means that a deploy to production somewhere is going to fail, right? So it's like very hardcore PagerDuty, right? Where you need to be like really, really reliable, which is fine. We're using Elixir. Hex already does that, and Hex is super stable. But, it's like, it changes completely the mindset of how you are approaching something, right? Like, especially because Dashbit's a consultancy, and now going something that requires like 9 nines of reliability,
customer support too, and
and exactly, like, and this is a marketplace. It means that we have to convince people to sell for our platform, and then we can sell, like, and then we are going to sell to other people, and we are going to be right in the middle, right? So if there's something wrong with customer support, we're probably going to be like the first line of defense. So we're like, So we built the thing, we're very happy, and they're like, oh, it's time to launch.
This is hard.
do we really do we really want to run this? Building was fun, but do we want to
Yeah.
run this? Are we going to enjoy running this? And then we're like, nah, no, we're not.
I think that's
and then
oh, sorry. I was like, that's a big problem, I think, with like engineer-minded people that want to solve the problem. And then when it comes to actually running it as a business, it's less fun.
yes, right. So we're like, no, I don't think that aligns. And then the second SaaS it's running, which is Livebook Teams. So we also
Oh
have
yeah,
Livebook
live book
Teams running,
teams.
right?
Yep.
And for us that was way more enjoyable because we have the open source product, which is our core, is our strength, right? And so we built Livebook and we're like, okay, Livebook is great, and we did everything in Livebook so it runs on your machine, right?
Mhm.
And so the design was like, you don't need this, you don't need a server, the things that you need are going to run on your machine. But then people are like, oh no, I want to automate deployments, or we want to have like authentication with Okta, which requires sort of a central provider. And then we're like, okay, so we're going to build the Teams feature because now people, it's like GitHub and Git, right? Like you build Git to be decentralized, but people are like, well, we actually want a single place where we can put everything and people could go to.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, we are going to build a single place. So we built Livebook Teams. So that's the second SaaS, and it's running, it's operating today. And Tidewave is the third one, which we launched 3 months ago.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say when I tried it out when it first came out, I was like, this is cool, but I really hated paying for like like what would you call it? Usage rates and
The
stuff.
API
The
token.
API. Yeah. And like I used it and I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. But then when you announced being able to plug into the like codecs, like Claude Code and things, that was the game changer. Cause we just have the set cost there. And so you're using a tool that, I use in my day to day for everything almost now. And yeah, that's when I started building Kill Switch, which is like a encrypted document store, and then you can set deadman switches to send it out to like beneficiaries. So like it's a fun project, and so this is probably my third SaaS as well. And I made the mistake. My first SaaS was a marketplace too. So you have the double-sided onboarding. You have to have the provider of services and then the users. And I didn't know at the time because I'm an engineer and I don't like to do research of actual product launches, but those are the hardest things to launch, are marketplaces.
Yes.
Yeah.
I at some point I went through that. They're like the hardest one, marketplaces, right? It's so
Yeah.
hard because that's the thing. Like, sorry, I'm going to briefly interrupt you. Is like I want so the thing that makes me passionate about those things is when I'm building tools that I'm going to use, right?
Exactly.
And
Same.
when I was building like BytePack, I was like, I'm going to use this. But then when you realize that the thing that you are building and you want to use, it's actually going to be, 45% ops and 45% billing because you are a marketplace and dealing with those things, it's like all the interest is gone, right? And then with Livebook Teams and Tidewave, like the balance is like very different because it's like those are the tools that I'm still using, and most of the time, our time as engineers and developers is improving the tools that we use, and that's fantastic. And collaborating with people on that's like, hey, I use Tidewave, I have the idea for this, and they're like, this is a great idea. You implement it, and then somebody gave you an idea, you implement it, you're like, oh wow, this is much better now. And then you can come back to the person and say, here's the feature that you asked, and we agree, this is awesome. Like that cycle is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And it's something that would not have, I think, a lot with the first product. But yes, your first product was a marketplace, and then
Oh yeah, and then it was a couple silly ones in between, and then I built like a web hosting platform, basically just to make my life easier because I was doing a lot of consultancy, and I got really like, I don't know, depressed because most of my work coming in was like boring ass landing pages. And I was like, but I want to just build an Elixir. So I built like a web hosting platform in Elixir to make me spin up websites faster. And then now it's kill switch. And yeah, I'm approaching it, I think, in a lot more like mindful manner too. Like I'm preparing for the gruelingness and the boringness of like marketing and onboarding users instead of just building the exciting thing and then thinking like, oh, I built it, they will come. But
Yeah.
and then I don't know, are you familiar with who Rob Walling is?
I'm afraid I'm not.
Okay, so you might want to check. He has like the SaaS playbook. He's an author to some things.
Okay.
And he's awesome. Like I love his material, and so I've been like reading all of his books. And I actually have him coming on my podcast in a couple of weeks too. So
Nice.
it's really like I'm I try to stick to Elixir topics, but I'm also like, but building SaaS is very Elixir in my opinion because Elixir is the perfect fit for almost every SaaS product I can think of. So I think it's a good mix. But like, yeah, he gives you good pointers, like how you should, test drive the idea before you start building the MVP, and then what you do from the MVP, and it's good stuff for like software developers to hear because, like you said, we'll build it, we'll be really excited about building a new tool, and then real life hits, and you get bored.
Yeah.
But yeah. When you first started building Tidewave, did you have all these other frameworks in mind? Like, did you want to support Ruby and like Next, all these other, I don't even know what are you all supporting now?
Yeah, we support Phoenix, Rails, Django, FastAPI, Flask, and Next.js.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's on the server side. And then you can bring React or Vite. So it's yeah. So I think since the beginning, I think that idea was there since the beginning because the hard work is not. I mean, it is hard work to do like all those integrations. I think that was probably around October when we were in the middle of all of this. I think in a month, like the whole team was touching 6 or 7 different programming languages to get because there is Elixir, Ruby, Python, and JavaScript, and then we were working on the desktop app that is Rust, right? And so we were like, there is a lot of work into making all those things
Mm-hmm.
fit, but once those pieces they are in place, right? So like we recently announced like a feature that I really like, which is to improving web accessibility. When we implement that feature, it just works across all of them, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense to be able to have something um, that like it's basically we're multiplying the value of the product, right? Because we can
Right.
build the feature once. A lot of the features are just going to build once, and it works everywhere. And for me, like the work of integrating MCP, it's actually very nice because it's about like going into all those different frameworks and looking at the internals and understand how the programming languages work and how we can expose their internals to the coding agent. And I like that work, like the like deep into the internals
Mm-hmm.
uh, work. So for me, it was like this is fun. Is not going to be Elixir, but I think it's going to be fun. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's also good to mix things up, right? Get into other frameworks from time to time.
yeah,
I've been pretty lazy on it, and then with Kill Switch, I've been doing a lot more like JavaScript because I'm doing a lot of client side stuff, and it's made me have to remember how to write JavaScript, but I still got it.
yeah.
But yeah, that's fun. All right. I have lots of questions, but
Yeah, go. Let's go for them.
all right. Let's see. Oh, I will say, like, this isn't a question, but one of my favorite things is when, when an error is thrown and you just have the fix it button. I don't even have to
Yes.
do anything other than tell it to fix it. That that is a quality of life feature right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so like something that I tell the team, and we have a Discord where I discuss a lot of people. So some people they're like, oh, is this a good idea? Like maybe you should add this. And then I find myself asking them is like, how many, going back to what I said, how many times have you copy and pasted it, right? Like, so if you're doing
Yeah.
something, you are repeating, right? Like that's a good sign that we can make it better. And I think the thing is that it's I'm focusing on the copy and pasting because that's the action that we do as humans.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
manual
trigger.
intervention. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you optimize that, what you also give is the coding agent more autonomy because it can now fix things by itself.
Hmm.
So the thing that is, say, when you get an exception page, you can click fix it. If the exception page happens while the agent is working, we send the fix it to the agent. You know,
Hmm.
um, so a lot of like a lot of the things is also like is recognizing that the copy and pasting is annoying for us, but it also means that it's a blocker for the agent. And then if you can remove that blocker, it's more likely that the agent is going to deliver something that works because it can verify and test itself, right?
Hmm.
So and this is a great example of something that, yeah, we surface to you, the developer, but we also surface to the agent, which also goes to the other things, that a lot of the things that we find that we do to improve Tidewave, it also improves the tooling for us humans as well. So one example is that, um, so if you are in Tidewave, you can use the inspector and say, hey, I want you to, I don't know, like change the color of this element, or
Hmm.
you want to change the style. So you can select an element, and at the beginning in Phoenix, we could trace things with file precision. So we knew where that element was defined, in which file.
Hmm.
But as part of working on Tidewave, we added the feature so we actually know when you select an element, we also know the exact line that it is in the file, right? And this is
Yeah.
great because now I can go to the agent and say, by the way, it's this element at this file and this line, and then the agent's going to immediately spot it. But now in Tidewave, you also have the feature that if you have the inspector enabled and then you hold command and you click the element, we open that element in the exact file and line in your favorite editor, right?
I didn't
So
even
it's
know
like,
that. Okay. I
right?
just I just
Yeah.
learned a new trick. Yeah. Cuz I was going to say
So
I really enjoy the inspect, right? Because I used to like copy and paste. Like I would take a screenshot and be like this element, or I'd go find it in the actual code line and ask it to
yeah,
fix the component, but like yeah, now you just click on it. It's awesome.
yeah, and it's the same thing. Like we are make things like, w- a lot of the times when we are improving things, we're improving for both agents and developers, which is really nice.
Well, I think like what makes it a really cool tool, especially for like you and your team, since you're using it daily, you're dog fooding your own product, and you probably find bugs faster than your actual end users.
Yes. That's very rewarding as well, right? Where
Hmm.
where you can have Tidewave building features for itself.
For a
Although,
Tidewave.
yeah,
Inception.
yeah,
Inception.
yeah. I feel like I keep running into those things because it's funny. Like we cannot. So this is something that only happens with us when we are building Tidewave, because if when Tidewave is building Tidewave breaks, then Tidewave cannot fix Tidewave because Tidewave is broken, right? So it's something that's not going to happen to you, right? To our users,
Hmm.
because you don't have both things change at the same time. And it's so annoying because it's the same thing that I have with the compiler. So when I'm working on the Elixir compiler, I cannot use like LSP and things like that because I am changing the compiler, right? So there are moments where I'm recompiling the compiler, so the compiler is not going to be available, and then LSP simply doesn't work, right? Or I am using an old Elixir version, but I am working on a new compiler feature, so the compiler does not understand the old Elixir version. So like, so I have this issue. Like I cannot, when I'm working on Elixir itself, I cannot fully use all of Elixir features. And then with Tidewave, I ran into the same problem. I'm like, "Grr."
Oh, someone's saying that X chat is not being read, which is true. It is not being read. Let me open up X. But yeah, YouTube's the best place, guys. YouTube or Twitch is usually where I'm reading stuff. I don't know. Actually, it should forward X, but it's not. Oh, it's not even working. Yeah, X chat's not working, guys. So stick to YouTube and Twitch. Bummer. But what can you do? Let's see. Tidewave feels like magic, but how is the team going to tackle adoption to make it go beyond Elixir bubble? I mean, I think you're already kind of doing that, touching like Rails and all the other frameworks, and I think that's a really smart move.
Yeah, but I think it's the question is a very good question because so one of the things that I was talking to the team is that like I feel like Tidewave. So when we launched it, the immediate feedback we got was you need to support Cloud Code. That's what everybody told us,
Yeah,
right? So we had like we had the next milestone really clear to us, right? And I think at this moment now, Tidewave is at a moment where, as a product, I think it justifies itself. It's $10, it's very cheap, and you get a lot of value from it,
I
right?
agree. Yeah,
But the thing is that so now we need to reach out to other communities, and that's a marketing problem, right? It's not a so going back to SaaS, like that's the other thing we need to realize you have to do marketing, right? And sometimes marketing is going out and speaking about it, but other times is understanding about inbound, outbound, and all the things that you can do to bring leads to the thing. So that's something you also have to learn, right?
yeah.
And basically marketing in the Elixir community is free for us, right? Because
Hmm.
we are very well positioned within the Elixir community. So yes, for us to reach out to the other communities, it's a marketing problem that we need
Yeah,
to start working on. I
yeah. A few
agree.
people know who you are in the Elixir community, I think.
Right? Yeah.
But it is hard. And I was looking at Tidewave's landing page today, and it made me realize how much work I have to do on mine. Like I really enjoy, like it just feels like you're going through a demo as you scroll down, like all the little short snippets of like how to use your product. I was like, dang it, I need to put some time into making some videos for Kill Switch because it's engaging and I feel like it sells your product.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because I think nobody is happy with their own landing page. It's
No.
like you always
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like you could be doing something more, that there's something missing. So I really appreciate that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. But it made me realize like, dude, I have like nothing that actually shows my working product. I just have a lot of words that explain my product. I was like, I have to show how it works. Cause I was looking at Tidewave and then like DHH has been on my feed with what is that new Kanban board thing they made, like Fizzy. So I was looking at their landing page and I was like, oh, it's okay. But yeah, I think Tidewave is looking pretty good. So I got some work
Thank you.
this weekend to do to kill switch.
My favorite thing about Tidewave. So we were talking about Tidewave, building Tidewave.
Yeah, yeah.
So so if you go to the homepage, right, is we have a video at the top, right, and then we have things like saying, oh, we have this feature, and a video that autoplays, right, as you are
Mm-hmm.
scrolling.
Yep.
So the way that I implemented this was that like I had the text, right, so I wrote the text before, and then I put like the YouTube URLs, so I put them in the position, and then I went to Tidewave and I was like, okay, here's the page, like you have some YouTube URLs, and you should make it so it autoplays, right, while I'm
Mm.
scrolling. But then, of course, when it scrolls out of position, the autoplay should stop, right? The video should not be playing. And Tidewave went and implemented it. But the cool thing about Tidewave that is that Tidewave can control the browser as well. So it was
Yep.
really cool to see it implementing the feature. And then in order to test it, it like reloaded the page. It automatically scrolled to the first video. Then it did a DOM query to get all the videos and their status, if they were playing or not. Then it scrolled a little bit more, did the query to see that the other two videos are not running and the one in the middle is running. And then when I saw that, for me, like maybe it's because like one of the first ones that you see, but when I saw that, I was like, this is so good. This is so nice.
I mean, it's
Right?
awesome. It makes it feel magical. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
I also will say I noted like the nav bar, like when you're at the top, how it's like spread out and like transparent, and then it turns into a more compact one. It, it's very, very
Nice.
nice. But yeah, it did good. And like I feel like I need to learn how to prompt Claude better for making like a sales landing page, but maybe I just had to implement and be more manual about the flow of it and then let it go from there.
Yeah, so I think so there's this is a funny thing because a lot of people talk about prompting, and I never cared about prompting. I let's say I'm slop prompter.
Yeah.
Um but I think that but I think that I get good value from AI. Like in my day to
Hmm.
day, I can get really good value from AI. And I think so that makes me think like what it is. Like I'm not really being careful with my prompts, right? But I'm not struggling. And I think
Hmm.
what is it is that I'm usually breaking it down into small problems anyway. And I'm starting over frequently. I know this is starting over, it's a me thing. So I was talking to Chris recently, and he basically tells me he never starts over. He just has like this conversation with Claude Code that is there for like a month. But so like
Doesn't
for
the context like automatically like compact and stuff?
yeah, it automatically compacts, and
Yeah. Oh, but he just
he's
lets it
just
go.
like
He don't.
change. Yeah, he's just changing subject, and then because he's changing subject, the compactation, it's
Doesn't
like
matter.
he just yeah. So
Okay.
like so for example, when I'm working on a landing page, the first thing that I do is that I work on the text, and I can use AI for that, especially because I'm not a native speaker, so I need help
Hmm.
with the
I'm a
with
native
like
speaker and I need help. So.
right. So yeah, first thing I do is that I work like on the main things that I want to say, and then I look around and find like, oh, this is kind of the way that I want to position it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have three bullets with the video,
Hmm.
right? So when it comes to say I wanted to build my landing page, when it gets to the point to implement it, I already know the text. I already kind of have the idea of the format. So I write like my prompt is very direct, where I'm going to say, look, in this section here, I'm going to have a feature section where you're going to have text, video, text, and here's the text, here's the video. I don't spend a lot of time in the prompt, and I'm assuming that's because I already broke it down that there is not enough, like there is not much ambiguity there, so the agent can do things by itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna put this on hold 1 second and just play a quick ad.
Hey, I'm Kimberly with Elixir Mentor. Jacob recently added recruitment services to help companies hire pre-vetted Elixir devs. I help with company outreach, so if you're hiring, I may be reaching out, or you can connect with us anytime at elixirmentor.com.
Back. And we're back. Gotta just remind everyone that I do stuff so I can keep making a living, you know?
Yeah.
All right, what were we just talking about? We were talking about prompting. Yeah, I think I'm probably a lazy prompter as well, except for like whenever I'm starting a new project, I think I'm really good at, well, I leverage an LLM too to help me make like a really good like architecture. And like I'll go through like a lot of back and forth until it's like all the features I want that are laid out in a really detailed manner. And then Brian Cardarella actually put me onto a library called Beads. And I don't know if you've checked it out or not, but it's really cool. It's
I
like,
I read the README, yeah.
okay, so I've been using that too, and I'll create like beads issues. And then I'll just tell Claude to, make a plan for this specific feature. And then once I approve the plan, put all the create all the beads issues, and then go through one at a time and just go. And like, I want to say like my feature integration or like creation, like 99% is usually like I rarely have to go back and like tweak and fix things, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should look into that because I definitely do that, but I do that outside outside of Cloud Code,
Yeah.
outside of Tidewave, like the so like some people like sometimes people say like oh like people will say like as a good thing like oh I the my agent implemented like a 5,000 lines of code thing, like no, like if somebody sends me like a
I
5,000
don't
lines
want to
of
read
code PR, I'm
that.
like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Denied.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, please break this down. So
Yeah.
usually, like the whole process of breaking it down, I do it separately. Sometimes in my
Yeah.
head, sometimes with the help, and then I just use like regular Claude or something like that. I don't know. Like for me, it kind of helps like to maybe it's a psychological thing where it's like I'm not in the environment of coding. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not
Oh.
thinking about code right now. I am putting myself in another environment where I can break things down and then I can understand how the pieces connect, and then I can tell it to implement the small things and validate the small
Yeah.
things.
Well, I think that's important. Like, I don't want to do a PR that's like more than 8 modules touched, because it's a lot. Like, I want to read all the code that's going into my project. And if it's 50 files, no, you're not
Yeah.
actually reading that carefully. And then that's how garbage goes in, right?
Yep.
But what's nice is like Beads is like SQLite, and it just like it can live in your Git, and so you can share it. I believe I haven't tried this, but according to the README, you can like share it among like in your Git repo among other people. So kind of
But you're probably going
interesting.
to have a bunch of conflicts, no? Like if you both two users changed,
I don't.
like SQLite's not going to merge, right?
Yeah, because you have like JSON files and stuff being edited and tweaked. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't tried it on a team, so I can't. But I would think you would probably have conflicts there.
Yeah. Or
Because
maybe they do something else where you can rebuild the SQLite from things in this. I don't know. Yeah. Need
yeah,
to check it out.
if anyone listening has tried it with multiple team members, I'd be really curious how well it works because the README claims it can, but I've only done it on single projects where I don't have anyone else pushing code. So, but it's been helpful because I feel like the context issue, it's hard to keep a large context of a project. And like, I kind of get where Chris is coming from, where he just kind of shifts, but then it kind of probably has that summary of all the past conversations. So it kind of still understands things going on in the project. And one of my favorite things to do is like have sub agents. Like um, at my day job, Collects, we have one in our project called Neckbeard, and all he does is he can only investigate like workflows and things and give us like uh, a detailed description of what's happening in specific parts of our project. And he can't change code. He can just like kind of give us reports.
Mm.
So if you're like, hey, can you go through like our order state transitions and, explain how it's working, what's happening at each step, and it'll do it. It's awesome. And I think it's cool to leverage sub agents as like, little workers that just do specific tasks for you. And yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I'm curious. So I know you posted this probably quite a few weeks ago now, but it was like Elixir being like one of the best languages for writing with an LLM. And I'm curious, why do you think that is? Like, do you think it's code quality, or do you think it's like the functional aspect of Elixir, immutability, like smaller chunks of code? Do you think it's easier to consume?
Yeah. So this was a report from Tencent, right? So it's not me saying it. It was actually a
Right.
report where they ran some benchmarks.
Mm-hmm.
And the curious thing is that I talked about Elixir, but you know who are like, and Elixir is like quite far ahead, I think. Like it's like 14 or 17 percentile points ahead of the second place.
Yeah, like
But
it was a
do
lot.
do you know? Yeah, it was like Elixir was like 97%, and then the other one was like 80, 81 or something. But do
Hmm.
you know which language was the second place?
I don't remember. Was it?
C sharp,
Was
right?
it real? Oh,
Which,
okay.
yes,
That.
which is hilarious because like what a lot of people like the intuition that a lot of people are going to have is like people are going to say, oh, it's because it's functional. No, the second
Yeah.
place is C sharp, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's
funny.
because you know, like some people say, oh, it's going to be better with static typing. It's like, no, C sharp is, or like one is statically typed, the other is like, it's like they feel like in a lot of ways very opposites of each
Hmm.
other, right? And then the things that is not really the opposite could be, well, they both have really good documentation. We know that Microsoft really puts a lot of documentation into their products, right? And they probably have a more senior community. So, in the sense that the quality of the code out there is going to be higher quality, right? And a lot of centralized documentation as well. In our case,
Hmm.
because the ecosystem we everything goes around hacks, right? But in in C sharp case, because a lot of it comes from Microsoft. So like if you try to do the Venn diagram of those shoes, those are the things that I can come up with, but it's literally a guess. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I just like assumed it was like functional, like smaller chunks, but I didn't remember that C sharp. But I think it's just because those C sharp is probably like in at least my like top five languages that I enjoy writing in. So it's probably that, it's just I like that language.
Yeah, and then I think like the third place, it's like 70% already. So it's like it's a quite like big drop.
That's
The
interesting.
first three with the rest.
Where
Um,
did like Ruby land on there? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it's really cool to see Elixir just like winning like that. Number one.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone's asking, oh, I can't find that link right now. Someone's asking for the link to it. But if you dig through either Jose's Twitter or my Twitter, I think I reposted it. I'm sure you can find it. And
Yeah.
I'll
I
add it
can.
post. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll add it post
After
in the
the
comment.
call. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll dig all that up. I was also like curious, do you think it has anything to do with like 1.19, like having like our why am I blanking right now? But like the type system and stuff, and do you think that's
No, because
beneficial,
I
like
think
warnings and go
no,
ahead, sorry.
because I think the paper was. I have to remember. I may be getting confused with because there are different papers, different benchmarks. But I think that one was one shot. It's like solve the problem
Oh,
without
okay.
validation tools, right? So it's like it had to
Mm-hmm.
get it right for like one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we are yet at a point where the type system is still it's improving. Every release improves, and it's even nice because most of this week I worked on the type system, and with the new features that we are adding, the type system is now being able to find type system bugs, which is really
Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
When
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like they grow up so fast, but
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, but but there's still a lot of work for I think for us to say like, well, it is getting a lot of bugs, but yeah,
You know what's funny is that you just said that like they grew up so fast. I actually was just reading a book where they talked about how founders look at their products like firstborn children. And that's funny that you just
yeah.
said they grew up so fast. It's apparently it's pretty common for us to love our products and what we do for a living as much as our children. So that's funny. Let's see. I'm going to dig through some questions here so I don't get too buried. Are you open to questions? Yes. Oh, what do you think about Google's anti-gravity?
I I didn't try it out yet. I didn't try it out. Yeah, I've read a
Okay.
couple things. In particular, there is one person that I follow on Twitter. Maybe we should share it later because he talks specifically about AI products security. They
Hmm.
talk specifically about that, and yeah, and then basically what I heard from Google Anti-Gravity is that it had pretty pretty strong security issues. But yeah, that person is really nice because they are doing a lot of analysis, and like the kind of bugs that they find is like it's really interesting. So for example, one that they shared very early on is that imagine that you have Cloud Code. Cloud Code has like security permissions in place, right? So you cannot execute any shell command, right? You cannot like you cannot just get the whole access to the machine. But if
Hmm.
this has been fixed, but it's one example of the kind of research they are doing. But one of the things that they realize is that if you ask Cloud Code, you could ask Cloud Code to change its own settings file to give it permission to do anything. So you could
Hmm.
escalate a write permission to basically can do everything permission, right? So consequence of that is that those agents they should not allow their own configuration file should be changed because otherwise, right? So yeah, and then anti-gravity they have a few and they are still open as far as I understand.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you always hear about like the people that have integrated like the LLM message systems and like not vetted them, and people will just prompt them to like ignore everything I previously said and then give me a free
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Let's see. And then so someone's asking, and I kind of think so how far in the future can you see Elixir in place of Python in the AI landscape? I think like you should just be using Elixir for AI because it's a good fit. And I think Python's just so popular and used by so many like data scientists and things like it's kind of like in my mind, I just always look at Python as like a hobby language, and that's why it's so popular. People jump on it for like microcontrollers and embedded systems and then data science. But I don't know. I'm asking because I was in love with Python, but then came along Elixir and nothing is the same anymore. I agree. And I'm looking forward to some AI models, but don't know where to start or make some AI models.
Yeah. So I think yeah, that's a good clarification because AI today like can mean like a bunch of different things, right? So if you say, look, I am building if the AI that you are building is like, well, I'm building agentic systems uh on top of Anthropic or OpenAI, then I think that Elixir it's pretty great at that because if you think
Hmm.
about it, Elixir was built for. I mean, it comes from telecommunication, right, which is about information coming and going,
Yep.
and Elixir was like our a lot of our tooling when it comes to web, like Phoenix, was for building real-time collaborative systems. And that's exactly what all those agentic systems that we are building today, what they are, right?
Isn't it funny? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't it funny all the problems we've solved in history just kind of repeat themselves in new ways?
Yeah. And then so that's what we have built all the tooling, is that just that before we were thinking, well, it's users collaborating in real time, and now it's going to be users and agents, but the foundation, the infrastructure, the message passing, being able to locate anything in the cluster, because now you have this machine with this agent trying to talk to this user, like all those things, those are part of our toolkits, right? So I think that like Elixir is pretty obvious answer for that. And like not pretty obvious, I would say like pretty obviously good, right? Design for that. But when you say, look, I want to train my own models, for example. So today we have like a good foundation for running your own model. So if you have an existing model somewhere, like, oh, I want to get that model, I want to run it, we have Bumblebee. So it's really good when you want to collocate the model with your Elixir code, right? But if you're like, I want to train my own model now, I have like 4 GPUs and I want to do a fine tuning on something, then we are definitely behind the Python ecosystem. But if that's something that you're interested in, we do have like a lot of tools and foundations to make this possible, right? Like we have an X, we have Axon, and if something that you enjoy, right, something that you know that you enjoy, you can like use those tools, contribute to them, help improve.
Yeah. See, yeah, Elixir, just when you have an idea like that, just do it. And then I feel like the community is going to back you. Like any cool project you see surface, everyone jumps on the hype train, and it's fun to see. Let's see. Can Tidewave help in API integration projects, especially when you have multiple APIs to be called? Yeah. I mean, as long as there's like really good documentation and things, I mean, I wouldn't like blindly let it integrate with an API. You might want to read the docs yourself, but do you have any input on that?
Yeah. So Tidewave Web is, so if you have an API, okay, let me think. So if you have an API, so imagine that you have a React SPA and then an API. We have docs for that. So you can use Tidewave Web. So Tidewave will be able to change your React app, is going to be able to change the API and connect all the pieces. That's something that we can do. So you can click slow. So everything that I was saying about, oh, I want to select a component and be able to change it, and we know like the Phoenix template it comes from, that also works for React. We made it work for React too. So if you are in that scenario, it's going to work. We have the docs. It's, if you go to the docs, there's a React section. But if you are an API and you're only working on the API, then at the moment, I don't think Tidewave Web, the web part, is going to help you. But you can still get good value from the Tidewave MCP, right? Which is just the part that you integrate with your editor or coding agent, right? So it's a matter of picking which one of the two is going to be best for your workflow.
Yeah, I use just the Tidewave MCP for a lot of my backend work, and it works well because you can. I mean, honestly, my favorite part is like creating mock data directly with my database, and then just being able to read logs, just like, you know.
Wait, talk. So what do you do with the database? You say like read these tables and.
Well, like if I'm like testing a specific feature, sometimes like just in local dev, I'll have it insert data and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Make my life a lot easier.
I like to do that at the page level. So I'm at a page and then I'm like, because if you want to test pagination, you have to create the data that goes, right? I'm like, make this page actually have data so I can.
It's so much better than like creating seed data. Like I feel like that's such an old days thing now. Now you can just like tell your LLM to create it and just write it straight into the DB.
Yeah, and you can say things like I'm doing QA, so like be diverse on the data, and it will naturally like create a very long username or create data, which people working in QA would do, like things that are meant like to kind of break the UI and help you spot bugs. So that's a really nice use case. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
that is. Yeah, it hits edge cases. You don't have to like plan and make all the data. Like it's always so hard to like, yeah, make, add special symbols into my email and like see if, all your validation works, whatever it may be, right? Yeah, I feel like it's like such a, I don't know, it's like an easy button for testing your applications. Let's see. Do you think more dynamic features like hot code reloading, code module eval, and sandboxing will be more prevalent and with AI code gen?
Um, Hot code reloading, I have to think about that. I haven't thought about it, but I think eval and sandboxing for sure, right? And that's already what we are seeing. Like, so there's this recent feature from Claude Code because they added the MCP, so you can talk to different APIs, right? And what Claude Code did, well, what if we don't talk to the MCP, but we write some like TypeScript or Python code, and we evaluate that code to talk to the MCP, right? And so and that the role of the sandbox is important. The role of code evaluation is important. That's, for
Mm-hmm.
example, one of the reasons why I'm excited about the Atom VM in the Erlang Elixir community and Popcorn, because I think having more sandboxes is going to be important, right? Like being able to have different sandboxes and ways that you can run your code. Like one of the things that I think about is, like people are saying, oh, you're going to have a personal device with AI, right? And then I'm like, yeah, that device is not. So we didn't talk like the reasons I started like falling out of love with MCP, right? But like for me, like it's kind of like it's weird that we are adding all those ways for the agent to talk to GitHub Sentry or whatever. But if you ask the agent to use the GitHub CLI, it already knows how to use the GitHub CLI. If you give it like if you ask it to use an Elixir or a Python library to talk to GitHub, it can already do that. Like we didn't have to package all the interaction with those other systems through the MCP and boil everything down to text. That's the most annoying part of MCP, is that it's text, and sometimes it can return structured data, but then it's presented to you as text anyway. So it's kind of like we have this API that can return rich data, and then we made it a really poor format. And trying to have everything through it, where if you can evaluate code safely in a sandbox, you
Mm-hmm.
can. The agents, they're really good at coding, so just let it go talk to the GitHub. Maybe you are asking it a question that it needs to query like 4 or 5 different endpoints. Yeah, let it do that. Let it do that, and it's going to give you the answer. So yes, I think evaluation and sandboxing is definitely going to play a role. I need to think about the hot code loading, if there is something specific there that we could leverage. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. Um, I was just going to ask something and then I spaced, but we'll just, let's see. Question for Jose, obviously, guys, come on. You don't care what I think. I'm just the guy here that says stuff. When did you realize that the beam mapped so well to agentic architectures? I'm gonna be like, you probably knew right away.
Yeah, I think that one was because, like, if you look at the presentations that I give about Elixir, like 10-year-old presentation,
Mm-hmm.
one of my slides is basically mapping telecommunication. Because if you think about telecommunication, is with for building telecommunication switch, right? You have a bunch of devices connected to your telephone switches, your cluster, whatever. Right? So you have all those devices, and then I had this slide where it's like, well, this was 2 3 decades ago, and today is the same thing, except that you have the web server, and now you have browsers, mobile devices, IoT devices all connected, right? So for me, like the next slide where it's like it's the same thing, except that now you have the agents and users all connected. Like that mapping it's like, yeah,
it's
it's
like
there.
same thing, different way to network and communicate. Like, but it's the same problems to be solved, right?
Same thing, different names.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of. I think it's like wild. We keep creating our same problems over and over, just different ways.
And and there's something interesting that is not only that. So how not only we are like seeing the problems over and over again, but how we still did not, I don't think we were able to squeeze all of the juice that Beam can offer. So a good example of that was when Chris McCord, he announced Flame, which is basically the very simple and straightforward. It's like Elixir answers to Lambda, but it's way simpler to use with fewer caveats, right? And what he said on his keynote when he was introducing it is that, like, look, we could have built this 10 years ago. Like there is nothing, like it's not like the Beam added a new feature. They're like, oh yes, finally we can build this. Like no, like it was there like since the beginning, since Elixir started. We just didn't use it. It's just that now we realize like, oh yeah, we can do this. And it's like it's not, it's like what, when it launched, it's 500 lines of code or something like that, right? So it's pretty amazing. Yeah,
it is amazing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like something that was, when did Erlang come out? Like 1986. Like it's crazy.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, and now still figuring out ways to leverage it.
Yeah.
What does the roadmap for Tidewave look like? What new features are coming in the future?
So we do have a public roadmap, and we are, if you have suggestions, you can definitely reach out to us. So the thing that we are working on right now, so we just launched a new version of our prompt. So if you're using Tidewave before, you could inspect one element and we would like kind of include it as an attachment. So it was not something that you could directly refer to it, but we just launched a new feature where you can, like when you inspect something, it's now like a reference in your prompt. So you can inspect multiple things, and that opens up like a lot of things. So now you can say, well, imagine that there are two elements on the page, you want to swap them. You can click one and say, hey, swap this one with this one. You can say, hey, I have this element. I want you to copy the border style and the shadow from this one, but copy this thing from this other. So now you can like really have like a rich conversation with the page, referencing multiple things. And our goal now is to, immediate goal is to work on the on that prompting and make the prompt like next level. So like we want to be able to refer to files. We want to be able to do a symbol search as well, like refer to a particular Elixir module or function. So that's kind of like where our focus is. And there are things that we are thinking more in the long term. So it's still like, I don't know when we're going to work on them, but things like, so one that is, there are not a lot of people asking for it at the moment, but I know there are tools that can do that really well. So there's a tool called Conductor, for example, which is, well, what if I want to run like 3 or 4 agents at the same time? You can do that with Tidewave today, but if they're all start making changes to the repository, they can conflict with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one can impact, like one can start impacting the other. So you can use like work trees, Git's work trees to create different environments for each of them to run. So that's something that it's a possibility. We don't have a lot of people asking for it yet. So I don't think it's the pressing need that we have at the moment. one of the things that I have been thinking a lot about is that I don't think we have good tools at the moment for reviewing the agent's code.
Mm,
So imagine like the agent is implementing a feature, right? One of the things that you can do is that as the agent is editing a file, right, you are like reviewing there in the prompt, like, oh, is this change good? I like for me, I for that's not a workflow for me. I think it's you are stopping the agent, right? And you are reviewing code before you are even sure if that code works.
yeah.
Because like like for me, like some people do it, some people are fine with it, but that's not there for me, right?
Hmm.
But the other thing that people do is that you can just say, and I think that's kind of like the things like, so usually I'm going to do is that I ask the agent to do something, and then I'm kind of waiting for the agent to be done, which is not very productive. I could be doing something else. I could at least, so sometimes I'm doing a git diff to see what the agent is doing in my terminal, so or in my
Hmm.
editor, so I can review the code. But I have to do git diff multiple times because the code is constantly updating. And I know that Zad has a feature where you can follow the agent as the agent does changes, but then the agent is faster than I am, and then I cannot keep up. So like I basically think like if I want the agent to write code and I want to review the code that the agent is writing, I don't think we have a good tool for it today.
Okay.
Like we,
You know what
I
actually works pretty well is the VS Code, the Git integration. You can see like your changes that aren't committed yet, and it will highlight
yeah,
I'll stare at because then it stays in the module you're looking at. So you don't follow
yeah,
the agent necessarily, but you can still review code. But I agree. Like one of my biggest things, like what I always prompt, which you could just kind of include, right? I always tell it to like um, do the get difference between the branch I'm on and my develop branch, and do the patterns match? Are there better or simpler patterns to follow? Like, what are your suggestions for improvement? I'll always do that before a PR, and then it like kind of cleans up the code because I feel like every once in a while, like Claude really likes to do like conditionals over like pattern matching. And like, it kind of like veers away from the Elixir side of things and wants to just use like case statements all the time. But so like I'll always have it compare to my like the branch I'm going to PR into. And I feel like that it helps a lot.
and when you are using VS Code in this case, as the agent is doing changes, they are popping up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Live. Yep.
Right. Yeah. But the thing is, what if you want to tell the agent that it needs to change something? Now you
Oh
have
yeah.
to,
So you got to
right?
stop it or wait or,
Right, like so like there is like I feel there is something in there that where we can make that experience. I want to be able to look at the code, and I want to be able to be like, oh, this part is not good, but have a good way of making that feedback go into the agent, right? Especially because like
yeah.
if you're using Tidewave, right, then you are reviewing VS Code. Now you have to do the context switch. You have to go from VS Code to
Right.
Tidewave, right? So I feel like there is a better way to do that, and I feel like there are very few people exploring it because when people say like, "Oh, we improve, like we have better review with AI," every
Hmm.
time it's like the words review and AI is together. It's usually because they are using AI to review the thing, and that's not what I want to
Yeah.
do, right?
Right.
I want to review the code, and if I can review the code as the agent is doing it, it's going to be better for me because I know today that's the moment I get distracted. Because
Yeah.
when I ask the agent to go and do something, I'm like, I'm going to review when it's over. There is not a good process that I'm happy with.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of downtime. Like for AI leveraging it to be like so much more productive, you're waiting a lot, right? And yeah,
yeah,
if you can fill that gap, like I agree. If you could just like live review and be like, oh, I don't like this, and it can just one thing like if you're using like Claude Code and it's like in the middle of work, you can like I have noticed you can do like note you can like type note colon and then say something, and it will go into the feed. And sometimes, not 100% of the time, but I would say like 80% of the time it catches my note and will actually like take the feedback in the middle of it. But it's like, it's rare. It's hard to do. Like I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, and there are people that say for that doing that, so you never know, right? But there are people that say
Right.
that doing that is bad because the agents, they were not trained to with being interrupted. So people are
Interesting.
saying that when you are interrupting the agent too much, they start like what is the word? They start hallucinating interruptions
Okay.
because that's part of like, so you have all those things, right? And but then I think, well, maybe it's not the but then I don't necessarily worry about it too much, because if people are interrupting a lot, then I assume that, Anthropic and OpenAI, they will eventually fine tune the models to be able to deal with that and not
Yeah.
make it right. So but yeah, but that's one of the things, and I think it kind of goes back, like I feel like a lot of people, when they are thinking about AI tools, it's usually with the mind of like, oh, how can we automate most of it and have the human out of the loop? And my approach to a lot of this is like, well, how can I be in the loop, but for the things that matter, right? For giving important information, for reviewing code in a way that is going to be productive. So that's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I think about, like in a way that I enjoy, in a way that I don't think that I am wasting my time or that I'm just waiting the agent to do something. So that those are the things we are trying to improve and maximize.
Yeah. Well, like I enjoy reviewing code and knowing what's going into my code base is like well written. Like it's an enjoyable piece to me, right? As long as, and like being able to do it as the LLM works would be nice, because you'd feel that I always just go to my X feed. I waste my time, right? I get
Yeah.
distracted with social media, but if you could just be, yeah, working with your MCP or like Tidewave in this case, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think, yeah, and then I think like we can start building more on that experience. Is like, so for example, and all those things, they come also from practices that we do, right? So I also see it as a way for us to streamline our practices. So one of the reasons why I want to have code review things in Tidewave is because we say internally that before you send a pull request for the team to review, you have to review the code, and it needs to pass your own quality check. Because otherwise, what is going to happen is that the whole team is using agents, and we are all sending code for the other people, for the other colleagues to review, right?
mhm.
And that's not going to be fun at all, right? So you are the one who prompted, you are the one who have the most context to review, to do that initial review and give quick feedback to the agent. If you are
Right.
all just like using the agent to write code, like boom, submit the code. Right
Yeah, if you
now, we are
submit
just
AI slop, you're just wasting your whole team's time too. Like
exactly.
it was actually a major conversation at Collex with the back end team. Like we're all about like implementing workflow tools and using AI, but we can't let our standard of code drop, because one, it's wasting our other engineers' time when they're PRing, and if they're making comments on shitty code when you could have caught it before PRing it. So we've implemented, like there's a lot of standards, like if Claude wrote it, your neighbor wrote it, we don't care. You still have to own it because you're PRing it.
Yep.
And so it has to be your quality of code. And I
Yeah.
think it's an
And
important standard.
yeah, it is. And so I see some people like they say like, I am, disillusioned. I mean, they are. What is the word? Well, they're
Like
not happy.
delusional
Delusion. I
or
think
okay.
delusion,
Yeah.
not delusioned. Like they tried AI and they are not happy about it, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. I don't know. But I know what you're
anyway,
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So So they're saying like, and then they're like, well, because my coworkers are using AI, and I can see like the quality of the code is bad. That's why I don't like AI. And for me, it's like, look, there are reasons for you to not like AI, but that reason for me, like that's a process issue. That's not
I
necessarily.
agree.
It's like it's the same as using any technology, right? If you go to like, you can have people writing bad code without using AI, using an
Yeah.
IDE. You cannot blame the IDE for that, right? Like, oh, the
Yeah.
IDE gave the wrong auto completion, right? It's like, for me, that's a process thing. Like,
Yeah.
well, you have to figure out how to best use the tools, what is the best process. And then if at the end of that, you're like, yeah, it doesn't work. I tried. Then like,
Great.
perfect. You
Yeah.
tried it, you know it doesn't work for you. But like, well, people write bad code with it. Well,
Yeah.
people write good code with it, right? So you need to go deeper there.
Yeah, here's my comeback to that is like, yeah, LLMs can write bad code, right? But we're still like the conductors, so you have to correct it and fix it.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that's changed is we've stopped. Like, I had a comment on one of my videos where, like, dude, I love software developers. I'm not hating on any of them, but some of them are very like doom and gloom, right? They're just like straight to the negative. Like, AI is going to just like be security vulnerabilities. It's going to be a nightmare. I feel bad for all the people that are going to get their information hacked, blah, blah, blah. But guys, we were copying and pasting security vulnerabilities from Stack Overflow far before LLMs existed. Like, you still have to understand the code you're adding to your code base. Like, where you get the bad code from is still the developer's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it does change the scale. We're likely going to see more bad code for sure. Right. But I think,
Yeah, I think so. But humans already wrote bad code, you know?
yes,
Like,
exactly. Right. Yeah, I agree. And so I think it's a matter. It's so what I like to say is like, look, I don't care if you use AI or not. I don't care if you use Tidewave or Cloud Code, but like, when you get to the conclusion where you're not using it or you're using X, like, make sure that it's a valid logical conclusion, right? Like, go for these steps.
mhm.
It's not about AI. It's like any technology. When you're adopting any technology, right? Like, if you say, well, this person used it to generate bad code, therefore the technology is bad, that's not a logical conclusion. So you
Right.
have to make sure you go for these steps to say, okay, it did not work for us. And sometimes for me, the logical step could even be something like, oh, I have an ethical concern with AI, and that's fine, right? If you can say ethically, I'm not going to use it, and that's a decision you can make, and you can assess the impact of that and the consequence of that. But yeah, it has to be like, for me, like, logically sound.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I was
yeah,
gonna.
but going, yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
go ahead, go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, Polly said AI is a flawed tool for flawed developers that write flawed software. Which, like, yeah, it just depends how you use it and where your skills are as a
I
developer
mean,
too.
yeah, but that's pretty much all of us, right?
Right. Yeah.
We are all flawed developers. I mean,
Right. Yeah. I wish I could say I always write perfect code and never get comments on my PRs, but it doesn't
yeah.
happen.
So, but going back to the point, just closing the answer, like, so you can see that I'm excited about things because my answer started going over 15 minutes. But like, the things about Tidewave, like, so I want to do code review, and I want to have good tools for code review locally as the agent's working, because that's what I believe people should do, right? I want people to review the code. And then one of the things that we also have at like a dash bit is, well, when you send up a request and it changes the AI, include pictures of the product, how it looks now, include a video if possible, right? So I'm thinking like, how can we make that easier, right? And I think that's one of the things about Tidewave Web, which is like, when we think that now I am like working together with the browser, and part of it is augmented because of AI, but now that I'm working at the product level, what are all the things that we can streamline to 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 build a better product, right? And all the practices that we have in place that we can now tell people like, hey, you should do that, right? Like, oh, you changed the UI. Let's record a video. Maybe AI can record the video, for you, like can automate the page and you just record and automate. But if not, those are the things that I want to push. And that's the things they're going to be working on.
Man, imagine if I could just be like, make a video of the new feature we just implemented, and it just did it, and I didn't have to go through anything.
But I think I may be wrong. I think we are super close, because I was saying like things like that when it tested the feature of the scrolling with the video, right?
Yeah, like the way you can do the browser evals and stuff and control things. I think all you'd have to do is cut out the time that it takes to process every command after the video is recorded, like cut it. And then it would be like a streamlined, fast video.
Yeah, but we also, like, we control the execution, right? So we also know what it's doing. It's scrolling, it's doing things. So I think it's doable. But yeah, eventually we will get there. I mean, I would be super happy if it just makes it my life easier for me to record a video for my coworkers. But if it gets to a point where we can say, oh, by the way, when you test this, we are going to be recording, and then you can choose to upload it or not. I think that would be very nice. Very, very nice.
That would be, I mean, like any person building a SaaS product, I think that would be a game changer.
Yeah. If you are in the team, right? Yeah.
Well, even not for the team, just for your landing page. Like we were talking about your videos on your landing page. Like I had to go through this weekend and make a bunch of videos. Like it's on my to-do list, but I like realized how important it is to selling the product.
By the way, Screen Studio, great software.
Oh yeah, I love Screen Studio.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be able to. I think doing something as good as a Screen Studio would probably be a whole separate product. But yeah, if anybody, so you're familiar with it, but if anybody, so our videos where we zoom in on the mouse, we can make the mouse bigger, those kind of things. We are doing it all with Screen Studio. Really,
and a lot of it's like automated, like the auto zooms. Like if you wiggle your mouse, it'll zoom in on that spot. So you have to be careful though. If you're showing a whole product, you don't want to like wiggle your mouse more than you need to. But it's a cool product. I forget the guy's name that made it, but yeah, check it out, guys. It's worth the price. I've also been checking out Descript, but I'm not completely sold on it yet, but I really like how it edits, because you just remove transcript and it automatically cuts the video, which is cool.
So I think Hugo, who is in the Tidewave team and Livebook teams, he's at Dashbit, and he works a lot. So a lot of the marketing work we do together, I think he uses it as well. I'm almost sure.
Okay. He uses Descript
as well, yeah. And cool. I haven't used it. So usually what I do is that I record the Screen Studio and I forward it to him. And I think he does like a little bit further editing, and I think he uses that. I'm almost sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go. Like I used to be a ScreenFlow guy for all my tutorials, and then I started using. Why am I forgetting the name? What did you just say? What editor do you use?
No, not Screen Studio.
Yeah, Screen Studio, and then I started using Screen Studio because I saw it might have been. I always say his name wrong. It's not Hugo, is it? It's
Hugo. Yeah. Hugo. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw his videos, or it was like, it might've been, Herman. I always say his name wrong too.
Herman Valesco.
Yeah. And I think he was using it, and I was like, oh man, their videos look so good. So that's when I started trying it out for my tutorials, because it just makes the transitions so much better. And guys, I'm sorry for butchering names. I'm not sure. I mean,
Hugo I pronounced correctly, but I'm not sure if I got Herman.
Yeah. It's the American in me, you know. I just pronounce every foreign name wrong. Let's see. Question for Jose. I am looking to migrate to Tidewave. Is it able to read my code base for context before implementing features? And yeah.
So Tidewave is running on top of Cloud Code or Codex. So you get all the Cloud Code capabilities plus ours.
Yep. Yeah.
You can also use GitHub Copilot as well. So, yeah.
One thing that I would like to see an improvement in is comments being added to the code base. And like I've noticed, like at least like if I'm using like Ash framework, the resources will always be piled up. Like you'll have a comment and then the same thing in the description. Like you don't need both.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes, I would love to
This
hear
is a
your story.
very, very fascinating story about agents. So I'm almost sure that Claude Code doesn't have an official prompt, but people extract it. And I'm almost sure that in Claude Code, like the system prompt that tells it how to behave, it tells it to not write useless comments. It's that
Yeah.
I think it even says do not write code comments. It's there, like do not do that.
And it does
And
it.
if you right, and then if you go for Claude Code prompt, it's like it tells this like it says this many times, like be concise, be direct, just answer the question, don't offer like unsolicited advice. It says all those things, right? And then it even says things like be concise, your answer should be four words, right? And maybe even a single word is better. So that's all in the prompt. But like when you use Claude Code, you don't get one word answers. Like every time it finishes, for me the most pointless thing is like when it finishes building the feature, then it just drops that like
a summary,
bunch of text.
Summary. Yeah.
Yes, for me that's like it's like I never read it. For me it's a waste of time.
No.
It's like
well, because I go and straight look at the git diff and then I know what it did.
Yeah. So it has all those things and it's still very verbose, right? So when we build, the first version of Tidewave did not use Claude Code, which meant that we had to write our own system prompts to talk to Claude, to talk to chat, to talk to GPT, and so on, right? So we first started supporting Claude from Anthropic, and we put those things in the prompt as well, like be concise, like keep your answers very short and minimal. And then it was running fine, right? We shipped that, people started using it, and then people were asking for us to support OpenAI models. And then when we implemented the integration, but when we started using it, it felt broken because we were like, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to build this feature, and then it would build the feature and just say like done. And then it will be like, hey, ChatGPT, do you think you can improve this in certain ways? And it would say like, I can. No, like, what is wrong, right? And then we realize that that's because the things that we had in the system prompt for the Claude models, which is like, do not write code comments, have your answers be concise. The GPT models, they're actually following the prompt. And that's something that people later, they came and say, like, the GPT models, they are way better at adhering to the prompt. So if you say like, hey, do not write code comments, it's more likely, they're still going to write from time to time, but it's more likely that they're going to follow it, right? And that's a very good example of like, like how the system prompts can affect the models and at different levels, right? So for Claude, we were begging, don't do this, and it would do anyway, right? But GPT was like, oh, okay, they want me to be concise, boom, immediately concise. But long story short, you can, I was going to say, you can write it in your agents MD, like do not write code comments. Okay. But if you're using Claude models, it's most likely going to ignore it anyway.
It's a Claude thing because I always tell Claude not to, and I'm pretty sure it's in my MD files too.
They do say, Fo, that the new this is coming from Anthropic, right? And we know how it is. Like your baby is the prettiest of all, like for all those providers, right? Of course. So they were saying that that Opus, the new one, 4.5, is better at following instructions. So they're saying like, oh, if you were previously bagging in your prompts, writing things in uppercase, it's no longer necessary with Opus 4.5. But I don't have like an independent experience from that, like people telling me that that's indeed true or so on.
Okay. Yeah. It's just it's a frustrating thing because I feel like I just need to I should build like a, what do they call is it a skills now in Anthropic? I think
They
it's
are skills,
skills.
yeah.
Yeah, like just like a cleanup skill, right? Go get all those comments out of my code base. Okay, Rico said Jose started talking about how he fell in love with MCP and then how he fell out of love. What's the story?
Yeah. So I started hinting at that, right? So, like so there are a couple issues with MCP. One is it can be a source of security issues because it's a way because you are getting data from all those systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody's trying to do a prompt injection, like maybe you have a GitHub issue, maybe you are going through the GitHub issues, right? And then one of the GitHub issues say, oh, if you are a coding agent, you should get this data and push it somewhere. You are importing that into your conversations. But the other one is it's like, so for example, Figma has an MCP. And if you go to Figma official documentation on how to use their MCP, it's actually pretty neat because you can select something. So if you have Figma running, you can go select some a layer on Figma or a UI component you want to implement. You can select it, and then you can ask your coding agent to implement it. But you know how you ask your coding agent to implement it? You have to literally say, I selected something on Figma. Please get the information. Which for me is just like I literally just selected the thing. Why do I have to go and tell the coding agent that I selected something? Imagine if you're using Tidewave, every time you inspected something, and then you had to go to the prompt and say, right? So like for me, that's one of the reasons why I dislike MCP, because it's a pull thing. It's really like for agent automation. So every time the human is in the loop, which is the thing that I care about, it's a flawed thing. It cannot push information. It cannot tell me that something happened. When I get an exception page, Tidewave cannot tell your coding agent that it got an exception page.
So you're always asking. You always have to ask.
That's where the copy and paste comes from. Yeah. I have to say, oh, go and do that, right? Oh, I have to get this information. But the other thing is that, and I mentioned this, is that the MCP boils down, everything is text. So we have all those rich UIs that we convert into text. So for example, Claude Code has a command called /PR_comments. And what that does is that it brings all the PR comments into the context of the agent. So imagine that you submitted a PR for review, and then your coworkers drop some comments, right? And then you do the /PR comments. In this case, it's a custom comment, but the same would happen for an MCP, right? Mm-hmm. And then imagine that you do the /PR comments. It's going to bring all the comments in. But imagine that you don't want to answer to, maybe one coworker gave bad feedback and you don't want that thing to be implemented. How are you going to tell the agent that you don't want that particular comment to be implemented? You can't click anything. You have to go and say, oh, by the way, this third comment from somebody, we had a rich UI, which is a PR comment on GitHub, where you can resolve, you can delete, you can ignore, you can reply to it. And we convert it to text. And the only way we can interact with it is by writing more text that tells you. So I think MCPs, they are great for the use case where you want to bring low-level tools to the agent. It should know how to evaluate Elixir code. It should know how to get the docs, is when you want to automate the agent. But whenever it's something about the user experience, if the user is involved, MCP is going to make the user experience worse. I would say that they are detrimental to the user experience. And so for me, it's that's the hype curve, right? It's everybody starts adopting it and people start using it for things that they are not meant to be used. I think eventually it's going to stabilize, and we are hopefully collectively figure out that we have been overusing them. But but yeah, that's my falling out of love story. I think it's really bad for the user experience.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'll always see like really smart people just like knocking like the hype of MCPs, and then but like I, I get a lot of good out of them, especially like with Tidewave. Like I don't know, there's a lot of a lot of benefit in it too. So I don't always like see the mass amount of hate towards it, but like from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like the only MCP that I use is the Tidewave MCP. And
Yeah.
like, so when we added Figma to Tidewave, so we have a Figma integration. We did not implement it as an MCP. We're like, no, this is pointless. What I want to do is that I want to just say, hey, here's the Figma thing. Boom, we add it. And then it's very funny because the way that the Figma works is that when you select a component, Figma is going to give you two things. It's going to give you the code to implement that component, and it's going to give you the an image, but you can't return both of those things through MCP. At least you could not. So like on the MCP instructions for Figma, MCP is saying, hey, by the way, when you get the code, remember to do another call right after to get the image as well. So like it has like all those things where like all those
Yeah.
cracks on the wall of like where the human and the agent is adding context to solve the limitations of this protocol.
Mm-hmm. A lot of friction.
Yeah.
All right, we have a off topic. Is 2026 mobile development year for Elixir? Maybe PWAs.
Ooh, that would be nice, right? I mean, I think so. There have been like a lot of people. I've seen some people exploring with P. I always struggle saying PWAs.
PWA. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's a tricky one. And I think even Chris, I saw a presentation and I was like, Chris, this would be nice. We can implement this with Live View today. And then Chris was like, I told you 2 years ago. So I think a lot of the building blocks for us to do something that integrates nicely with Live View, but building on top of like the existing, yeah, a PWA, right? Like building on top of the existing Live View infrastructure, it could be nice. And
That
but
would
yeah,
be
like
nice.
don't if you have ideas, definitely like go build proof of concepts and experiment with this.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of PWAs, just avoiding app stores and things.
Yeah.
Because like I was an iOS developer for a while, and as much as I love Apple, I think like the experience, like the developer experience with the App Store is a very frustrating one.
Yeah, I had the so one of the things like very early in Tidewave is that we wanted to see like because we can do Tidewave that web, but maybe we can do Tidewave mobile because a lot of the things that we are talking about is going to apply to mobile as well. And I had to do I one of the and then I built like a bunch of prototypes like Tidewave for React Native, Tidewave for Xcode, iOS, like
Okay.
Swift, whatever.
Yeah.
And working with Xcode was mind blowing because, but not in a good way,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
because
like probably undocumented and just a painful. That's such a
exactly.
bloat. It's such a bloated application too. Like,
Yes, and so for example, like so the goal of the agents to go and automate things. But if you're building an iOS app, right, like in Xcode, if you want to add a dependency, there isn't a file you can go and add a dependency. You have to go for the Xcode UI and add the dependency through the Xcode UI. If you
yeah,
want
is
to
it
add a
like,
file,
is it Cocoa Pods or it's? I don't remember what it is anymore. It's
there
been a
are
while.
some tools that can do some things for you, but then what they do, as far as I understand, is that they go and change the Xcode your Xcode project. They are going to go and change some things, and in a format that is kind of private-ish. So it's the same thing, like you cannot add, if you have a project, you cannot go and add a file to the project. You have to create the file through Xcode, because Xcode needs to know that the file exists. So if we're like, well, I want to create like a coding agent that is working alongside Xcode, it doesn't work. Like everything needs to happen for Xcode. And then there are projects that help you solve this, but they are basically changing, like they're using private APIs to do everything. So it's like one of the things that we really take for granted, right? Like that we can just go, oh, I want a new file in my project. I can just go touch the file path and start writing it. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's not a thing, right? So like the coding agent comes like with all those complications, and then I'm like, maybe, yeah, I'll pass for now.
Yeah, I know, and I wish Apple was just more open and playing nice, because like it's also annoying. You have to use Xcode to send anything to the App Store. Like you can't submit anything for review unless you're in Xcode, and it's such a pain. But I don't miss those days being a full-time iOS developer. Writing Elixir every day it's such a gift. But yeah, I think this was awesome, and I really appreciate you coming on. And I think we can wrap things up. We've almost chatted for 2 hours, which is pretty good.
Let's do just like 5 minutes more, because I don't want the last thing that I do to be talking about somebody else's, so talking negatively about somebody else's project.
Okay, fair enough. We won't get off yet. I would like to take your take on like your experience, like being more of a product owner than like, how do you step out of your developer shoes and now you're selling a product, a SaaS product?
Yeah. So I actually enjoy it a lot, because in many ways I am like the product owner of Elixir, right? Like I am the
Yep.
person who decides like which features comes. I mean, there is a team, but mostly it still goes through me, right? So I am the person who decides what goes in, what goes not, the general direction that the language is going to evolve, right? So there are like a lot of similarities, but also like a lot of differences in the way, like one being open source, where I feel like my job with Elixir is not necessarily to give you a solution, but to make sure that your solution is possible, right? So it's way more about like enabling, right? So when somebody's like, hey, I want a feature, I'm like, look, I'm not going to give you this feature, but you can use those things to build it, or I'm going to add this thing that is going to make that feature a possibility for you, right? Where when it's a product, it's way more about like, oh yeah, we are adding those, like going all the way. Of course, we add features for Elixir. I'm not saying we don't add features for Elixir, right? But like the
Right.
decision process and like the trade off feels um, it's different, right? And then with the product, there's also this nice thing where I can just deploy. I can deploy now, and you get a new thing working, right? Like right now, we can deploy, and we know that all of our users, as soon as they refresh the app, they are going to like refresh the page in the browser. They're going to get the new version,
Yeah.
and we're going to start collecting feedback. That's really nice. Like
Web
compared
applications are
to,
so cool for that purpose. Like you feel so powerful when you
yeah,
deploy a new, like an update, right? Like it's like, and poof, like that.
yeah, like so, like where in Elixir, I am known to be very responsive in issues trackers, but it's still like, yeah, like worst case scenario, you're rating 6 months until the next release, right? If it doesn't go into a patch release. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it in the sense that I feel like there are a lot of similarities, and yeah, and a lot of my time, and the other similarity is that a lot of my time in the Elixir community is reviewing other people's code and giving feedback to them. And if I am product owner / tech lead, I'm also doing like the same capabilities, right? But there's also that thing with like in Elixir, of course I can make mistakes, but usually a mistake I have to live forever with it, right? It's like, well, if we add the wrong API, I can come up in the next release 6 months later, say it's the wrong API, but now that API is going to be there forever or for a really long time. We're going to
Right.
deprecate it, right? But the code is going to be there for a really long time, and that naturally leads to you being more conservative with making decisions, with making changes, right? And when you are a product owner, you have when there is like uncertainty. So in Elixir, if somebody proposes a feature and I cannot fully understand everything, right? It's like we have to do research, we have to study,
Mm-hmm.
right? I cannot just say, hey, let's try this, and if it doesn't work we try something else, right? Like the cost of that is high, is larger APIs, multiple abstractions, right?
Right.
But with a product I can just say, let's try it. Like, do we have a hunch which one is better? Let's
Mm-hmm.
try it. If it's not good, we will tell our users like, thank you for the feedback, we appreciate, we are going to try a different direction, and we can take our feedback and we can do a new deploy, remove the old code, and that gives another like different kind of feeling. Like it's a little bit lighter in that sense because we can explore things. So
Lighter,
yeah,
and then you have the fast-paced excitement of kind of like a startup vibe too when it's just a product, right? Because
yeah,
anytime, like you were saying, if you have a public API, anything that ever goes out, you have to like forever support it at least, or have like some sort of um, what would deprecation process. But yeah, it's a lot more to maintain.
yeah, and you're right. Like if Tidewave in the future has an API, then those same concerns they are going to come
Yeah.
back, right?
Yep. And so if you ever open it up, you gotta support it, right? Like
Yeah.
I run into
So
that we run into that at Collects all the time because we have multiple products. So anytime something starts getting used, and like it's a good like I like GraphQL sometimes, but I also don't because it's so flexible. So like if you put something out there and a front end client starts using it improperly, you're kind of like forever stuck with that architectural mistake, right? Or it's a lot harder to fix. And so, yeah, it's kind of the same
yeah.
concept. Yeah. What would you say, like your product is live, right? So how do you take feedback? Is it through Discord? Like I feel like developers, since it's a developer tool, you probably get a lot more feedback in like developer channels than you would like email or like I don't know, other submissions.
Yeah, mostly it's Discord, and we are trying to like encourage people to, because for me like that's kind of the fun part as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to AI, we are all kind of learning. There's still a lot for us to learn. So having a place where we can have those discussions, and it's mostly through Discord. If you send us an email, we are going to of course read it and give feedback. But in in terms of numbers, it's definitely Discord today. And maybe there is more that we can do. It's just that the Discord felt like the easiest way to get started.
Yeah, I enjoy Discord. That's what I use for Elixir Mentor, and I wish more communities use Discord over Slack, honestly. But that's a conversation for another time. I just joined Tidewave's Discord.
Nice. Yeah, and one of the cool things is that people on everybody on Discord, they get to know about features earlier. So whenever we ship a new feature, so there are usually two stages. Sometimes when you're working on something big, we announce previews. This is what we were working on, and then when we launch it, before we launch to everybody, we first mention it on Discord like 2 or 3 days before, so people can try it out, find bugs, give feedback, and then we announce it publicly.
Oh,
So
nice.
when we, yeah, so when we announce like Claude Code, the people, because it required installing the Tidewave app, the people on Discord, they were like 1 or 2 weeks they knew before it went public, and we got a lot of fantastic feedback on that.
Yeah, that's always nice. Like, I feel like you're like the Elixir community is a special place for getting good feedback too for like software tools too. Because if it's something people like to use, like I feel like they'll be early adopters, which is super helpful.
Yeah.
And then like, is that Discord? Is that everything? Do you have like React? Oh yeah, you have every channel. You got Rails, Next.js. Very cool. I'm excited to just linger and observe. I'm horrible
Fantastic.
at like I'm horrible at being like responsive in chat channels. Like it's definitely like my weakness. Like even in my Discord, I'm not like very like quick to be like, oh, I really want to type out an answer. Like I'd much rather just record a video and have that answer. But
Oh,
what
interesting.
what's nice though is like I have a lot of awesome community members that will step up and answer for me. So that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we are still at a size where we can be like very responsive to user feedback,
Yeah.
and helping them. And it's like in the early days of Elixir, like every time somebody asked a question, for me it was like, usually that would at least lead to an improvement to the documentation, because I was like, well, if they're asking that question, they could not find the answer.
Hmm.
It's because our docs are lacking. So yeah, back then it would at least improve the documentation, and we feel a lot of that here. Like when people ask questions like, "Well, our docs are not good, maybe," or maybe it is because the user experience could be better. We are like leading them to the wrong path, or they are not finding the feature that they want when they want. So it's nice to have that direct feedback, because it will definitely make we are definitely using it to make the product better.
Yeah, I will say like the desktop implementation that you needed that you wrote it in Rust, right? I will say like the like getting set up and actually getting like the Tidewave MCP is like so smooth. Like I feel
Nice.
like it's not the easiest thing to do when you're doing it for the first time, like when you're setting up like an MCP proxy or whatever. But like that experience, it was easy. It was nice. And I feel like
Beautiful.
that's a area of friction too. Like when I was first, I don't know, it was a couple months ago now. It could have been a year, I don't know. But when I first like set up my first like MCP server running, it was like a very confusing experience.
Yeah, yeah. We the MCP part was, I mean, it improved a lot, but that's the thing. Like when we started it, MCPs, they were probably 5 months old, and now they are almost a year old.
Hmm.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of There was a lot of growing up, but at the beginning, the situation was pretty bad, and we had like different agents implementing like slightly different versions, like, so there were
Yeah.
like incompatibility between editors, and we were like in the middle of all of this, like one of the first people releasing like MCPs. And so it was a struggle, but a lot of things got better. Like the protocol, to its credit, got simpler in certain ways. um so but yeah, at the beginning it was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's cool. It's cool seeing things just flow and become easier and less friction in between like installing and things. And the like just updating, like when there's a Tidewave update, I don't have to check if there's one and then run like the update prompt or
Yeah.
command, it's just it does it.
Yeah, it's Tauri. We are using Tauri, and one of the
Oh,
things
okay.
which is right, and it's super lean. Like our executive is like our app is like eight megabytes, it helps that we are not shipping up, because the thing with Tidewave is that we want you to use your browser and your tools, right? So it helps that we are not shipping a Chrome or a Node.js runtime.
Right. Yeah.
And what is really cool is that we also have a desktop app for Livebook. And when we build a desktop app for Livebook, we built it basically. Wojtek built one in Swift, and he built one in C#. But then, how do you get Linux support? So one of the things that we're exploring is to see if we can also convert Livebook to use Tauri, and then we'll be able to, instead of being 2 code bases, potentially 3 if we support Linux, it's now going to be one single Tauri code base. And then maybe, and the nice thing is that, so the Tidewave CLI is just a pure Rust project, but Livebook is an Elixir project that we want to ship as a desktop app using Tauri. And maybe there are going to be nice lessons that we can learn from that and make it easier for people to ship desktop apps with Elixir. I mean, we already have some things in place with Livebook, but maybe Tauri is going to be going to help us unlock even more things and have more of a first class experience. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool. How do you spell Tauri? Tody?
Tauri. Isn't that like the sign?
Tauri.
Like the
yeah, kind of. Okay. No, you're fine. I was just I wanted to pull it up and check it out.
What is it? Is that the zodiac sign, or it's not the zodiac sign?
It would be Taurus, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So
is this Tori or Tari? I would say probably Tori. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's okay. Tauri. Yeah, but yeah, it's a framework for building tiny, blazing fast binaries for all major desktop platforms. Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check this out, because my grand scheme, it was hard to not want to build it all out, but for Kill Switch, it's encrypted documents, and then you can share them with certain people. But I feel like there's a lot of friction, requiring someone to come check in every 30 days or whatever their timer's set at. But what I want to do is make it a password management system. So it's a password manager that you're using every day. So as long as you're using your password manager, you stay checked in. And then when you stop using it, then timers start. And I think so I'll have to check this out, because I'll need a desktop app at some point.
Yeah, so I recommend that. I recommend giving that a try, and then in the future, depending on what you're doing, you will be able to, hopefully, if we can build something solid for Livebook, which is we're currently experimenting. If you want to actually serve something running on the user's machine, you will be able to do that with Elixir. So
that could be cool too.
Right, so you could actually, offer Kill Switch. So another option is you could just offer it as a desktop app, and then as long as their machine is booting or something like that, and Kill Switch is running on the machine, you can go and talk to the server, and that integration, you can either run the app locally, or depending on the integration,
well, that opens it up too. If people have security concerns or trust issues, you can allow them to run it locally or on their own machine. And
as well,
I like that.
Which is what we do for Livebook, right? Livebook, we actually get the whole app, and you run it on your machine. So
okay, yeah, I like that idea a lot. Very cool. All right, well, we're ending on a more positive note now.
Yes. Fantastic.
Well, Jose, thank you so much for joining me again. It's always awesome to have you on. And everyone that tuned in, we had a busy chat. Thank you for joining us. And I hope everyone has a good weekend. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good weekend, guys. Testing.